Have you ever felt like you're running into a wall every single time you're trying to up your game or you are trying to level yourself up? It's like you're telling yourself that this is how far I can go or this isn't for someone like me. Here's the truth: the wall that is built is made of your limiting beliefs, not your potential. But what if I told you that there is a proven way to smash through it? Today, we will dive into the science, the strategies, and the stories, yes, including my own, that will help you break free from the invisible barriers. Let's rewrite your new reality starting today. Welcome back to the Unfoldlearning Podcast. This is your host, Kaustav, and I'm your partner in this journey of self-discovery and personal development. Today's topic is something that is very special to me. It is incredibly close to my heart and something that I have struggled with and in ways I've tried to overcome, and that's about the limiting beliefs. There are these little or small lies that we tell ourselves which dictate things that we can do and things that we cannot do. The crazy part is that they are not based on truth, but yet they shape our reality. So, in this episode, we'll uncover the psychology behind limiting beliefs, actionable steps to overcome them, and stories to inspire and take charge of your own narrative. Stick around because the best version of you is waiting on the other side of this conversation. And on that note, let's begin. So, what are these limiting beliefs? Let's break it down. Limiting beliefs are assumptions or mental blocks that stop you from reaching your full potential. Psychologists often call them as cognitive distortions. They stem from the past experiences, societal conditioning, or even fear of failure. Here's where the science backs it up. According to the research Cognitive Behavioral Therapy, CBT, these beliefs form as shortcuts in our brain to protect us from perceived threats. While that was useful for survival back in the wild days, it's not really helpful when we are trying to thrive in the modern world. Think of your mind like a GPS. If its destination is set to I can't, no matter what you do, no matter how great the car it is, which in this case will be your potential and your skill set, you are not going to reach your goals. Think back to a time you didn't go after something that you really wanted. What stopped you? Odds are it wasn't the world. Odds are that it wasn't the world that stopped you. In fact, it was you. I will give you my example. Back in 2015, when I was about 3 years into my working career, I had very recently become a manager. For the first time, managing about 20 people. Back then, every week, we used to have an all managers meeting where about 15 other managers in the region would come together in a space. And the meeting used to last for about 90 to 120 minutes. And essentially, those meetings were about strategy discussions, feedback, ideations, deliberations, etc. Would you believe that for about 10 months, I had not even spoken a word in any of those meetings? And these meetings used to happen every week. Not even a word. So much so that others would either probe me, some would encourage, and some would make fun of me. In many ways, the perception of mine screamed of incompetence. Well, back then, what stopped me was the constant chatter that happened at the back of my mind, and that said that I'm not good enough. What if I say something silly? I'm not prepared. Others are experienced than me. I am too small in front of them. I'm not smart, and they are. What if they will think that I'm not smart? And what if they judge me? Slowly and gradually, as time went on, I started to tell myself that maybe I'm really slow at processing and understanding, and I need some time. So I cannot really jump in and just keep talking about things. And maybe I'm an introvert. which, by the way, was not the case. You see, I was constantly rationalizing for my inaction. And the reason essentially was the fear of failure and the fear of judgment. A study by Stanford University found out that about 80% of self limiting beliefs come from internalized fears, not external barriers. It's not reality that limits us, it's actually the perception. How many times have you been told that that's how it is, that's how it should be? Well, who decided that? And more importantly, why are you still listening? So let's really understand, where does these limiting beliefs come from? Well, they often come from three main sources. Number one, childhood conditioning. Example, a teacher once told you that math isn't your strong suit. It's not your cup of tea. And now you avoid anything remotely that is analytical. For me, it was the conditioning where I was coming from, how I was brought up. I was told that everything has to be perfect. I cannot afford to fail, and if I fail, there will be no turning back. And that's what was my conditioning. And when I look back at things in retrospect, I could realize that that sense of judgment, the fear of judgment, was stemming from my conditioning. I was always told, and it was drilled into me, that life is a competition and you have to be the first. You have to ace it, else you're a loser. Number two, societal expectations. The part of the world that I come from, well, one of the expectations, especially from boys or men, is that you pursue science, then you get into engineering, and thereafter you get a job. And once you get a job, you need to do this. It's kind of pretty set. Even if your passion lies in something else. Well, if I look back at my own journey, it's quite interesting because I was a science student. I pursued engineering. I am an engineer by degree. Thereafter, I became a school teacher. And after becoming a school teacher, I became a trainer, a facilitator, and a coach. Then I became a HR professional. I also worked in the CSR front of the corporate world. And thereafter, now I'm pursuing this journey, this content journey with you all. So, in some way, some would think that I was confused all my life. But what I think is that I have been fortunate to pursue what I really wanted to do and not stick to the constructs that were there. But essentially, while I was, and all of this is in retrospect, by the way, but while I was going through that, when I left my engineering job and I had chosen a completely different field, I was really looked down upon. I was told that I made the biggest mistake of my life and I won't be able to survive. And constantly, that aspect pushed me to think that I need to prove myself. I have to do things that will help others understand that I am worth it. And that pursuit kind of and that pursuit gave birth to that sense of fear in me, that sense of failure within me. And the third big reason is the past failures. If you have been rejected before, you might assume that this will never work out for you. Well, these are the three big reasons from where the limiting beliefs stem from: the childhood conditioning, your societal expectations, and the past failures. Here's an insight from neuroscience. The brain's reticular activating system, that is also called as the RAS, filters information based on what you believe to be true. If you believe you're not good enough, your RAS will ensure that you focus on situations that confirm that belief and creates a vicious cycle in itself. Now, when I look back in retrospect, the thought of not failing, being perfect, and proving self was drowning me completely and making me freeze in grouped spaces that made me keep shut for days and hours and months in those meetings that I talked about. And that exhibited how powerful limiting beliefs could be. Before we jump to fighting these limiting beliefs, it is extremely important to understand what are we really dealing with and realize why these limiting beliefs are so powerful. These beliefs stick within us because of the neuroplasticity, our brain's ability to rewire itself. Unfortunately, negative beliefs can become deeply ingrained pathways if we don't consciously challenge them. However, the good news is that you can rewire your brain. Studies in positive psychology show that consistent affirmations, gratitude practices, and visualization can weaken the negative pathways and strengthen the empowering ones. Now, if I go back to my own situation, right, my own condition where I was not able to even open my mouth for about 10 months in a group space, what really worked for me? It was to face my fears head on and consistently challenging myself by leveraging opportunities to put myself out there in groups and share anything. I started very small, started from making sure that I share at least 2 lines in that meeting, to 5 minutes in that meeting, to presenting presentations and onwards. The whole idea of taking that challenge or facing that limiting belief right here was something that kind of helped in many ways to navigate and circumvent. Another example that blew my mind back when I was trying to overcome this limiting belief and trying to push myself to speak out was the Roger Bannister story. Well, it's an amazing, amazing, inspiring story. He broke the 4 minute mile in 1954, proving that, it is possible what was one thought as what was once considered as an impossible thing to do. And the best part was, after he was able to achieve that milestone, there were many who could achieve the same. What really changed? Was it the human biology? Absolutely no. What changed was the belief barrier was broken. Well, the video is there on YouTube. Please, please do go watch it. It's really, really inspiring, and it had helped me once when I was really, really trying to overcome my own limiting belief. Now that we know the why, and what goes behind the limiting beliefs, let's actually dive into the how. Number one, identify your limiting beliefs. I think that level of self awareness is extremely, extremely imperative. And how do you do that? You ask yourself this question: what is really holding me back right now? Where does this belief really come from? Write it down and make it tangible. If I go back to my example, my limiting belief actually started in the form of, what if what will others think? I am not prepared. I am not smart enough. I am not enough. But actually, when I really thought about it, it was about that fear of failure and fear of judgment. And essentially, it was coming from those aspects of proving myself, those aspects of, it's a competition. You need to be first. You cannot afford to go wrong. So the first step is be that aware, be self aware, what is really holding you back and where is it coming from. Write it down. It really helps. Number two, when you have identified your limiting belief, you got to challenge it. You got to face it head on. Look for evidences against it. For me, when I started putting myself out there, I gave myself a challenge that I will speak for 2 minutes only. Out of the 90 minutes, I will speak for 2 minutes. Right? You start small, but you identify evidences that you can actually leverage. Because I know I can speak, so I said I'll speak for 2 minutes. So look for the evidences against your limiting beliefs. Another example: if you believe that you are not a leader, find examples where you have inspired others or guided someone else, right? Tell yourself that. Rewire your brain to believe the other side as well. The third step, now this is where it gets very interesting. You got to reframe the narrative. Replace the negative statements with growth oriented ones. For instance, change "I am not good at public speaking" to "I am learning to communicate confidently." For me, what worked was, I cannot speak in front of the group because I feel I'm not prepared, I'm not enough. I just had to change and reframe it to say that I am curious, I want to learn, share, and express, and I will do it because I want to grow. Just the reframing. Because what you're doing with this process is you are making your brain, which is so consumed by the negative side, you're pushing it to start seeing the other side. You're making, imagine that there is a wall and you're pushing yourself to see beyond the wall, to see what is there on the other side, and that brings in the perspective and it starts pushing your horizons to think differently and then eventually acting differently. Number four, something that you can use is the power of visualization. Visualization isn't just daydreaming, it activates some neural pathways as performing the task. And there are different ways of how you can visualize. But for me, what worked in a very simple way was if tomorrow was the meeting, and I knew that this is the meeting, this is what the meeting is going to be about, I would prepare myself with my 2 minutes talking points and I would rehearse it in my head. And while I was rehearsing, I would visualize myself in that particular space and to the minutest of details. Where will I be sitting? What will I be wearing? How will I be talking? What will I be sharing? How would I see others behaving or reacting? Just visualizing and feeling confident that, you know what, I can and I will. Well, the fifth one, as you engage with these first four processes where you identify the problem, where you challenge the problem, where you identify the limiting beliefs, you challenge your limiting beliefs, you reframe the narrative around the limiting beliefs, you start visualizing. You also need to surround yourself with some growth oriented people. You cannot do this alone because your environment will shape your mindset. Engage with people who will challenge you constructively and will uplift you. Well, because I'm talking about challenge, this reminds me to remind you that one, do subscribe to the channel. Two, do comment and share your thoughts, your learnings, your experiences, constructive feedback that will help you and I both to grow going forward. On that note, let's get back to the topic. The sixth one is take incremental action. You need not to you don't have to go big. Start small, chunk your milestones, and if you're afraid of failure, take low stakes priorities just to build your confidence. It's like how do you learn cycling, right? How would you really learn a new instrument? Anything. Keep it low stakes and just have those incremental action, but be consistent, just keep doing it. The last one is use affirmations. Well, there is a lot of research based on neurosciences that repeating affirmations helps your neutral pathways to be more positively oriented. Example, I am capable of learning and growing. I can embrace challenge and opportunities. Well, something that I do, and this might sound a bit funny, I cannot be waking up in the morning and doing affirmations that, oh, I'm enough, oh, I'm good, I can, I will. No. But what I do is, um, a lot of these affirmations, I write it down and I make them my passwords. So every time I have to enter into my system or into my work, etc., I'm actually typing my affirmation out. Like an example could be, I am enough. I'm actually putting it down every single time. And what it is doing is it is making me go back to that thought and reaffirm myself that yes, it'll happen. Well, I am still in this journey of breaking the limiting beliefs. Not that I only have had one limiting belief. Well, there are a lot. 10 months ago, when I was thinking about starting this YouTube channel where I did not even think of the name, I was not sure what I would do. I contemplated a lot. Um, um, I was thinking, like, will I be even able to identify any topic, share anything with anyone? Even if I share, how will I share it? I don't know editing. I don't know scripting. I don't know nothing. And will anybody listen to me at all? Will I even make sense to anybody? Well, today I've produced about 20 long form videos, more than 300 plus short form and long form contents, check in videos. The channel has got about 70,000 plus views and about 250 plus subscribers. That's you all. And maybe after this, we will have some more new subscribers. And that's not bad, right? I know I cannot measure it against any particular benchmark. I don't want to also do that, but I think what this tells me is just be at it. My limiting belief before I started this channel 10 months ago was that maybe I won't be able to do this. I am not cut out for this. But taking those small steps, taking those incremental actions, surrounding myself with people who can challenge me constructively, and also using and also reframing my narratives, the stories that I'm telling to myself. Um, because at the end of the day, through this process, through this journey of content creation, one thing that I've learned very firmly is that believing in ourselves, we can only do that. And nobody will do it for us. And that is why we need to take the ownership and we need to take the responsibility and hold ourselves accountable to fight our limiting beliefs. Well, here's a quick hack that I would share with you. Start noticing your inner dialogue. If your thoughts were a coach, would you fire them or keep them? If you would fire them, it's time to rewrite the playbook again. So here's your homework. Write down one limiting belief that you're ready to let go of. Reframe it to an empowering belief. Drop in your comments and love to hear how you are rewriting your story. Trust me, it is extremely important. And as we share with each other, we not only commit to ourselves, but we also pay it forward basis our learnings. Breaking free isn't just about achieving more, it's about becoming more of who you are meant to be. You are not defined by your past, your doubts, your failures, or fears. You are defined by the actions that you take today. Remember, your beliefs shape your reality. Start telling yourself a new story, a story that makes you feel empowered, a story that makes you feel equipped, because the best version of you is waiting to be written. As always, keep unfolding, keep learning, keep growing. Be curious about what you don't know. If this video inspired you, if it triggered any thoughts or left you with some takeaways or any takeaway, do hit that like button and share and subscribe to the Unfold Learning Podcast. It is always encouraging, and I will see you soon in the next week and yet another video. Meanwhile, take care of yourself, take care of people around you. This is your host, Kaustav, and thank you very much for being there.